Yo, what's going on, everybody? I'm back to do a review on Common's new album, Nobody's Smiling. I thought this album, Common really went in a different direction, and he really targeted the young audience. And just from the cover alone, it's very unique. You got I believe this is a rapper out of Chicago. Actually, both of these guys are rappers out of Chicago, and this, of course, here is Common. And basically, the theme around the album, Nobody's Smiling, he basically wanted to uh, get the listener to understand a lot of frustrations and a lot of things that are coming out of a city like Chicago right now that we're hearing about. And, whether it's all correct or whether it's all right, he wanted to really paint a picture of what's really going on in Chicago, what is the mindset, and what is a lot of the trials and tribulations that the people in Chicago being it, whether you're doing the street stuff or whether you just a person going to work every day, just coming out of that type of environment, or whether you just a normal citizen living in Chicago, being at the south side, the west side, etc., etc. And he really went in a different direction. He targeted the young audience, with tracks like Diamonds and just a lot of the beat selections that he used. And some of the tracks that stood out to me was No Fear. That was a banger right there. When I first heard that record, I kind of got like that stinky face. When you hear like a dope record and you like, damn, like that joint is banging. So that was one of the joints that stood out to me. Of course, the track No Smiling, different type of production. It sounded like something that maybe a West Coast artist would get on, or maybe somebody like a Chief Keef or somebody would get on that type of record. I wouldn't expect Common to get on a lot of the beats that were on this album. So I thought that was very different of him. And another record that stood out to me was Rewind That. That might have been one of the best tracks on the album. He basically was talking about his relationship with Jay Dilla and just coming up and the people that he's met throughout his career, and a lot of the mistakes he made coming up, being young, being very impressionable and not really knowing the business, or letting the music industry really take him away from a lot of people who he came up with. So he talked about him. He made reference to Kanye West. And I just thought that was a dope record, very personal record. He was telling a lot of stories, and I think that's something that's missing out of today's hip hop. People are not telling stories. And the other day, I had some business I had to do with Common and another artist at ESPN Sports Nation. Here's some of the pictures I took while I was up there. I know a lot of y'all think I be bullshitting about this, but no, this is my life. A lot of these guys, I talk about, and a lot of these guys you listen to, I do know personally, and I do a lot of business with these guys. But this guy's big ass head was in the way. But you got Max Kellerman, forgot this brother's name right here, and the lady that be on the show, and he was the show director. But going back to the album, yeah, Common was at the show. I had to do some business with him, but the album, really, I would say those people who might do the trap music and all that or whatever, they can really relate to this joint because of the subject matter. And I think that Common was trying to give a message to that generation that's coming out of Chicago, or just people all across the world, but not really preaching at them and saying you shouldn't do this and you shouldn't do that and blah blah blah, but really just taking their mindset and saying, hey, you don't have to do that. This is why that's going on. You have that type of mindset, or just giving the world perspective of what's really coming out of a city like Chicago, and expressing what's really going on out there, but not doing it from TD Jakes perspective, and preaching at these cats. And really what he was doing was he was educating everyone across the world about what's really going on out there. But overall, I give this album, I would say 8.5 out of 10, because I thought it was, a well-rounded album. One track that I didn't really care for was the one with Janae Echo. I think it was called Black Magic. And Janae Echo is another artist that I've worked with. I worked on her last project. Dope artist, but I just really wasn't feeling that record. You know, it could have been a production on it, but it really didn't. To me, it didn't really coincide with the whole album, and I think especially why I didn't like it was more or less the production. But overall, this is a dope album. You know, shout out to Common. I got a chance to meet that brother at the show the other day. You know, real down to earth brother. You know, hasn't forgotten where he came from, and he really showed that in this album. But you guys go pick this album up. You know, it's a must get if you enjoy hip hop, if you enjoy storytelling, if you one of those people who like to say, you know, hip hop is nothing but ignorance and they don't talk about anything and etc. etc. Pick this album up because it is artists out there, being in new and old, that are really talking, you know, speaking that true hip hop and really doing actual music out here. It's not just, you know, what you hear on the radio. You have all different aspects of hip hop. So go check this album out. You know, it is a must getter. I know a lot of Common fans didn't really like this album because they say, you know, it sound different and it didn't really have a lot of the I guess the quote-unquote soul to go with it. But me, I disagree. I think he did have soul in it, but I think he wanted to really relate it to the young generation because, like I said before, you know, you have to, when you're doing music, you have to know how to be yourself, but at the same time move with the times. You know, you can't, if you get on the record saying, yeah, yes, y'all, and it don't stop, or you doing old generic things like everybody say ho, ho. You know what I mean? That was cool for that time in hip hop, but nothing stays the same, and you have to be able to move with the times. It has to be relatable because if you're talking about things that, you know, happened a long time ago, it's not really relatable to today's generation, considering that hip hop has always been a young man's game, and the young generation really influences hip hop. If you're not able to keep up with that, it's going to be hard for people to really listen to your music because it's not really relatable, especially to the young generation. So, you know, shout out to Common. I thought this was a dope project. You guys check it out. If you've already checked out the album, give me your feedback on it. I'm out. Peace.